We're up for another discussion.
Let's do it.
And before we have this discussion, we have to invite our special guest. We have a special guest.
We do.
Tucker, come here, buddy.
Tucker.
Come here. Come here, buddy. Get up here. Come on. Here he comes. Get up here, buddy.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
and as you guys know, RVing on the road, whether it's full-time or part-time, can be challenging, especially with pets. And then in this video, we want to talk about
dogs
RVing,
and cats.
Dogs and cats. Are you a dog person or a cat person? It's Chris and Katrina with our everyday getaway. For those of you who are new to the channel, Katrina and I have been RVing full-time for a little over a year now. And most of that time we've had Tucker with us. And it can be a challenge. It's much different than our sticks and bricks. Our sticks and bricks, we had a fenced-in property. It was really easy to open up the door, let Tucker go out and do his thing, and when Tucker was ready to come in, he would actually come back, sit at the door and bark, and it was his way of saying,
come on in, I want to come in.
You can't do that when you're RVing because you're at a campground or even in a boondocking area. You just don't want to let your dog run around. When you go to a campground or a park, there are restrictions.
It must be on a leash.
It must be on a leash. And in some cases, they'll actually let you set up fencing for your dogs. For your cats, it can be a lot easier.
It can be. So we should talk about the reasons why it's easier, in our opinion, to be a cat owner than a dog owner on the road.
Yeah.
So, for example, we had a reservation last year at one of the parks here in Florida, right on the water. Which one was it? Do you remember?
Fort DeSoto.
That's right.
Yes.
And we were lucky enough to get a reservation,
Yeah.
but the reservation we got, you could not have a pet or a dog in the space. So if we had had a cat at the time, we would have been able to go and enjoy, but because we had T-Bear, we could not.
Yeah, there are sections of Fort DeSoto that will allow pets, and sections you cannot have a pet. And that's another thing many pet owners, especially dogs, you have to deal with is there are restrictions that prohibit you from RVing in that campground.
True.
That is a con when it comes to dogs, especially if you have a large breed dog.
Another example is there's a campground, 1,000 Trails, over Space Coast, over near Cocoa Beach. They have a rule that you cannot have dogs with you unless they're 30 pounds or under. And then if you want to get your large dog in there, it has to be pre-approved, and they have restrictions, as a lot of camps do, on what kind of breeds they are.
Okay, let's talk about the challenges of a dog owner.
So for us as a dog owner, it is taking Tucker out to go to the bathroom multiple times a day. It's not really, you do, but I mean, that's not, it's a challenge, but it isn't. Compared to a cat, it's a challenge because a cat pretty much is self-sustained inside the RV. You do have to change the litter box, but the cat's there and you don't have to actually leave your RV in.
I'm sure some of you who love cats, and we love cats, we've seen campers who take their cats out on a leash, and that's cool. And we've even seen campers who have like this large tent, you know, maybe a 4x4 tent area that they set up and the cat hangs out in there and it looks nice for the cat. Can't do that with your dog. Got to take that dog outside. So
Yes.
that would be I guess a con. You really have to, I mean, you have to take your dog out
Well,
and physically actually take them, or if you're lucky enough, you could take them to a dog park.
Or on travel day, we've noticed with our dog, he has anxiety. So a lot of times we're not ready to go to a rest stop or we're not ready to get gas yet, but he's ready. So we have to find somewhere to pull over and stop so that he can get out, go to the bathroom, and that, you know, takes a little bit of time.
And that would be another thing is you cat owners, how do your cats handle the travel days? Do you put them in a pen to calm their nerves? How do they handle it? In the case of Tucker, for the most part, he's a little anxious, but he will sit back and chill out. But if he needs to use the bathroom, he will come up between the two of us as we're driving and let us know. That's his way of saying, I gotta go. You need to pull over. And we try to pull over at the nearest rest area or a nice area.
We've pulled over on a major highway before and got out just so that he can go to the bathroom because he really had to go.
And so that would be a con when it comes to the dogs because we don't know how well cats handle the drive day. So as you guys know, we're doing a video about RVing with dogs and cats. Well, Katrina and I were riding around a campground and we noticed a couple sitting outside with their cats. Lo and behold, they have some cats here. So we stopped to talk and we met Jim. Jim is from Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And he's a full-timer. And we wanted to get his opinion on what it's like to RV full-time with a cat, in this case, 2 cats. And this is Scout and Spencer. So he's got Scout on a leash, and Spencer is in the, what would you call that?
Just a pet tent.
A pet tent. What would be the pros and cons for RVing with a cat on the road?
Pros, you can get your pet with you. They're smaller, so they don't take up much room. They love going outside, and they, cats are more mellow inside. So,
Do you find that the fact that you have a cat, that you guys can go out for longer extended periods, knowing that you have the litter box inside and the cats are pretty much content with being inside if they want to, right?
yeah. But we use it's called Wigo.
Yes, there you go.
Cats, the nice thing about it, you can give them extra food.
What about travel day? When you travel, the cats stay up in the front in the truck with you, correct?
Correct.
What do you do with the cats when you're driving down the road? Are they in a pen, a cage, or do you just let them hang out in the truck?
We have a tube in the truck.
Can we take a look at that?
Yeah.
Okay. Right there. So the cats are pretty much, they're comfortable. They're riding down the road.
The little one, he sleeps.
Okay.
The other one's likes to meow a lot.
But they're comfortable with traveling.
Yeah.
They don't get stressed out or anything.
And they got the litter box in there. So
Well,
if they have
there
to
you
to
go.
the bathroom.
What would you think is easier to RV with, a cat or a dog?
Cats
Yeah.
are cats, so they are more skittish to things, so noises. So that part, dogs, it would be easier. Space-wise, cats are easier. But when it's pouring down rain and I see all these wonderful dog owners and getting soaked, walking around, I'm enjoying my cup of coffee and the cat has to go. The litter box is right over there.
I didn't think about that. In the elements, you got to take the dog out in the elements. You have to deal with it. That's a good point.
One other side note also with cats versus dogs. Hotels don't mind cats so much. Hotels
That's another good
do
point.
not like dogs because they cause more damage.
Thank you, Jim. You're
That's
right. So if you ever have an emergency situation, like if you have to put your RV in the shop, now you got to go find a hotel. You got to find a hotel that will accommodate your pet. So that's a good point. See that? That's why it helps to talk to someone else, and they can give you a little bit more insight, something you didn't think of. Well, we want to thank Jim for taking the time and hang out with us and giving us some insight as a cat owner who full-time RVs. How about that? Thanks, Jim. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
I haven't heard this yet with a lot of cat owners, but I do know from dog owners that they do have to crate their dogs when they leave the RV. If they go out hiking or biking or something, they can't take the dog. That's his space. You got to make sure you have a space in your RV for those crates. And us with a large dog, it can take up a lot of space. Since she brought that up, that would be a con for the dog owners. I know for Katrina and I, we're always apprehensive about leaving for an extended period of time, 5-6 hours or more, because we worry about Tucker. We want to make sure he's okay. Last year, we went to Mackinac Island, and we originally had plans to go to the island, spend the night at the hotel, wake up the next morning, spend some time on the island, and then go back to the RV. But when we decided to bring Tucker with us, we had to change those plans because there was nothing we could do. I'm sure there are services out there, and Rover is one of them. Rover's one. Or you could put your dog in a kennel, which is fine, but we just didn't want to deal with it. Well, and I know there are people also that say they will ask a teenager at the campground they're staying at. Let us know if that's something you've done. If you've done that before and you've had a good experience with like Rover or a friend or someone else at the campground coming into the RV, you give them a key to let them come in, take the dog out for a walk. I'm a little apprehensive about that because
I'm good with it.
we're in a limited space and there's a lot of privacy issues involved in that. So that would be a con. Whereas if you had a cat, it would be much easier for you to leave and be gone for a day, if not overnight, because of the litter box. And even if you had some sort of... Well, you leave the water out and you leave the food out. And you're right. And I could imagine if you had 2 or more dogs, that would be even more difficult. I think that would be a con. It would be a con. For a dog? Yeah. But what are the pros for a dog?
We get lots of love. Yes, I love you. I love you unconditionally like no one else.
That would be a pro. It's a con. I mean, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a pro.
It's a pro. Well, the other thing is, there's a sense of security and safety with the dog. Yeah. At night, if Tucker hears anything, he's up, he's alert, he's barking, he's going to let us know.
You come over here, you mess with us, there's a price to pay.
That's what he says. Oh, he'll bark at the drop of a hat. Right. So that is a pro. It's a deterrent. Someone is walking around the campground, and they know you have a dog, they're less likely
to mess with your RV or anything inside the RV.
I will deal with it, and I will handle it, and I will take care of business.
That is true.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and the companionship, and you guys, let's be honest, man. Dogs are like, well, they're a part of the family, and they're like children for many of you who have dogs and cats.
Absolutely.
They're your extended family.
Absolutely.
So, what would be a pro? Well, we talked about a pro for the cats because
I think there's more pros for cats than there are dogs.
Well, that's because cats are self-sustaining, and cats don't care about
They're
you.
not
I don't care what it
self-sustained.
says. Cats don't care.
Oh,
As long as you
jeez.
feed them, cats are good to go. Dogs, yeah, they're like, yeah, I got
So-
you. I got your back.
Obviously, you're going to irritate a lot of cat owners.
I love cats. Cats are awesome. Cats are great, but let's call it as it is. Cats are like, I'm chilled out. I'm good to go. Just make sure you
That's
feed
how it
me
goes.
and change. Oh yeah, I talk to cats many times. I talk to cats all the time. I'm a cat whisperer, and they've told me this many times. As long as you
are
give
no
me
cat
food,
whisperer.
as long as you give me food, and I have a litter box, I don't care what you do. I'm good to go. We met Gary and Arlene here during our stay at Thousand Trails. So we thought we would get their opinions of what it's like to RV full time with a cat. And I'm sorry, what was the cat's name again? Charlie.
We were really concerned about, where do we put the litter box? What do we do if he gets sick? And we have found that, we found a perfect solution for our litter box, but we found that there was no information available for us. So we talked to our vet, and they did recommend Fellaway, which is a really good thing to have for pets if they get like sick or nervous. It's like a pheromone, and you plug it in, and it just brings comfort to them. So for the first probably month, he was tough. He was very scared.
Exactly what is it? How does it work? What is it?
Fellaway is like it's a hormone that you plug it in, and it releases the scent, and it makes them feel like brings them comfort.
So is this something you get through a vet?
You
They
can
prescribe
get
it, or do you?
Smart, you
Oh,
can get it at any
well,
one
there
of
you
the
go.
stores. And there's also a natural pellet that we gave him that he chews on, and
Okay.
that also calmed him down. It did help.
It made a big difference.
It did help.
Because I take it when you guys were driving down the road, he had a lot of anxiety.
He did.
In the beginning.
In the
Yeah.
very beginning.
Okay.
Now he just sits on the couch and looks out the
Looks in
window.
the window,
Wow.
watches trucks go
And he's
by.
all good.
We'll put a link in the description. We'll look into that and put a link in the description below. And so, in your opinion, do you think it's easier to full time with a cat or a dog?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah,
cat.
I would say cat.
Yes, I agree.
Sure.
I don't
Yeah,
have to
I
take
think
him
so.
out at 3:30 in the morning to go to bed.
Exactly. Now, obviously, you don't run into any issues when it comes to staying in an RV resort because there are restrictions with pets, but they're usually with dogs. You guys don't have to worry about that with cats.
Not necessarily.
But have you run into that?
Yes, we have.
Where? Okay, so tell us about that.
In New York, in Croton Point Park. It's along the Hudson River,
Okay.
and they have birds and a lot of wildlife on the Hudson River.
It's a sanctuary.
And sometimes cats get out, and people have to leave, and they leave the cats behind, and they ended up with a lot of feral cats. So they do not allow cats. Huge properties, hundreds of acres, and it's a lot of woods around it, and a lot of grassy areas. And if a cat accidentally gets out, and they can't find them, and they have to leave.
they
We
had to
assume
go.
that's
That-
why
Probably
they
what
don't want
happened.
Cats there, because it was just neighborhood cats.
See that?
I don't think they would
Yeah.
stop RVers.
We didn't know that, so that's a good point. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing that with us. That's
the
really
only
good.
time-
I'd like to thank Gary and Arlene for sharing that information with us. Thank you so much, guys. We really
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
doing the video.
Okay, no problem.
So a con for me for having a dog on the road is the dog hair.
How
Right?
dare you talk about my hair?
I
can't do anything about
I
that.
absolutely love Tucker. Okay, love him, but I don't love him in my bed, and I don't love when he's shedding all over the RV. Right? Tim?
Well, look, I mean, we usually get Tucker shaved twice a year.
At least.
That's another thing you have to do. More so with a dog, more so than a cat, on the road to grooming services. So you need to get your dog washed and groomed. Do you groom your cats?
Some people do.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Cats
Yes,
groom
they
themselves.
do.
That's what they lick. That's why they lick, and they're
Okay.
grooming everything.
One other thing to keep in mind, if you do have a cat, you have to figure out where you're going to put the litter box. I know that some of you will come up with some really cool, ingenious ways, like maybe in a cabinet, you'll pull out the drawer and they can have a little door and get in there, whatnot. But you have to think about that. Plus, it's the mess and the smell of having a litter box in the RV.
I think the smell would be the biggest issue and the biggest concern. So that would be a con with the cat, is the smell of a litter box, because we all know, for the most part, litter boxes smell. They smell. So that would be a con for the cats right? As opposed to
As
a
opposed
dog.
to then a dog, the con
Right.
for the dog is taking him out to go to the bathroom all the time.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point.
It's true.
That is a good point.
So it's, you got to weigh that.
And another issue would be medical vet expenses.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And it can be difficult. Katrina and I know, just based on back home, there were times over the years, we had different dogs and animals. If there were an emergency, sometimes your standard vet can't see them. So you would have to make plans to go to another vet, and the vet could be 30, 40, 50 minutes away.
Well, and it's called an emergency vet, and they're very pricey.
Yeah, that's another issue that you run into on the road, full timing with your pets.
Or it might not even be your pet that has the emergency. Chris had an emergency last year, so did I. What do you do with your pets if you have to go to the hospital for an extended stay, even overnight? I mean, if you have a cat, the cat can stay, has a litter box, has the food, the water. Dog cannot do that. So when Chris was in Colorado last year and we had to make that emergency trip across the state, I had to take Tucker in the Jeep because we didn't have anyone to watch him, and he and I literally stayed in the Jeep overnight in the emergency room parking lot.
If you're going to go on the road full time, these are the things you need to be concerned with your pet. It's more difficult with a dog. It is. So you got to get out there, take your dog for a walk 2, 3, 4 times a day. You can't just let your dog run around unless you go to the dog park. And then in some cases you can set up a fence. We can't do a fence with Tucker because Tucker would just simply knock the fence down.
Yeah.
And we even had a friend here at this campground who had a 3-foot fence, even though the campground said you're only allowed a 2-foot fence. Campground said something to him and he said, look, I have large dogs. They'll knock over or jump over a 2-foot fence. The 3-foot fence works really well. And they were like, okay, that's a good point. They let him set up his 3-foot fence.
Yeah, another issue, when you leave your RV during the day, even if it's for 2 or 3 hours, wherever the case may be, some dogs bark when they're left alone. Tucker's one of those guys. I mean, if we leave the windows up and he can get on the seats and he sees something going on, he's going to bark. And that's an issue at a campground, and we completely understand that. So for us, we will leave the TV on, and then we shut the blinds and make sure he has everything he needs to be comfortable. But that can be an issue as well. Cat, on the other hand, probably is going to be quiet and not cause any issues.
Yeah. So we need to talk about Rover. Rover's a service that will come out and help you with your dog. We'll put a link in the description down below, give you guys some information about different services available while you're on the road. Another thing to go with is a dog monitoring system. I know some of you like to set up cameras to watch your dogs while you're out. We don't have that. We do have Waggle Go. I've yet to activate it. And part of the reason I've yet to activate it is because our first year on the road, we had fantastic weather. We had no issues with the weather.
We didn't need to use it.
So it was never a problem. I've yet to set it up, and I will do that now that we're in Florida and then we're working our way to Texas for the summer. But that's a great system you guys can set up. I know there's a couple different systems to help keep track of the temperature inside your RV in case there's a problem and there's an issue.
Yep.
So there are some things to keep in mind. Are you a dog fan? Which is better to RV with? And does it really matter?
I do agree that I think dogs are more challenging. Let's just say that, more challenging than cats are. But you love your pet, so you're going to do what's best for your pet. If you guys have any extreme things that have happened to you while on the road with your pets, let us know. Tucker likes to go out hiking with us, and that's a big thing for him. Now that we've been on the road, it's awesome because he had a yard to run around it, but it's new, fun, exciting thing, and he's always excited to go. Have you ever taken your cat out on a hike? Do you put your cat on a leash?
See, that's a pro to having a dog, is because we can take him on some hikes. Some hikes we can't, but we can take him. He loves going on a hike. And I don't ever recall in our time being on the road full time, have I ever seen anyone hiking with a cat? So my guess is no, but maybe you have.
Doing it. Yes.
Maybe you have, and if you have, leave a comment down below. But that's a pro to having a dog, is that you can take the dogs on the hike. Let us know. Tell us what you think. Are you a dog fan? You a cat fan? Do you travel with a dog and a cat? All kidding aside, we love them both. And be mindful of the area you're RVing, camping in. We're at a nice campground. There are coyotes on the perimeter of the campground. We've seen them.
Two.
Right up against the perimeter RV sites. if you have a small dog or small children, they can come and
Cats.
snatch it.
Or cats.
Even cats. They
Yeah.
can come and snatch it in a heartbeat and take it away. It just didn't occur to us that in this location of Orlando, there would be coyotes.
Well, and
so
the alligators too.
when you go to Florida, you kind of expect the gators. You're always mine. But to see the coyotes, it just caught us off guard. When you go to a campground, no matter where you go, check in with the front office and ask them, what is the wildlife like in that area? We want to protect them. We want to take care of them. Leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think. Let's get this conversation going.
Yeah.
Dog,
which
cat.
which is easier? To
You know?
take care of a dog on the road or take care of a cat on the road?
Yes.
Which one makes more sense for you and your family?
I'm a dog lover. I think taking care of a cat on the road would be much easier. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys. You cat lovers out there, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can give us some advice or some insight. Maybe we missed on something.
Okay.
Leave a comment down below. Let us know. Tell us what you think. And if you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up. Like the video. If this is your first time to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. We really appreciate your support. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. You'll be notified every time we release a video. And if anything, subscribe to the channel for Tucker, because look at that face. How could you resist this beautiful face?
Yes, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and follow us on our adventures.
Daddy, get off my face.
Because oh, he loves it. Yeah, I love
Listen.
it. Stop, Mom. I love it. And it's great. I love Dad. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and come along for the adventure.
Are you okay?
Oh yes, he's good.
He's
my
good to go. Here you have it, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and remember, any day you can get away is a great day. You guys take care. Thanks for watching.
See y'all. Take care. Bye.